Alright, starting 5.1 off, we're going to do the angle and degree measure. And so if we have 115.28 and we want to change it to degrees, minutes, and seconds, what we want to do is we want to take the 115 and just leave that as degrees. And I'm going to take the 0.28, and I know that there are 60 minutes in 1 degree. And so I'm going to multiply 0.28 times 60. And that gives me a total of 16.8. So I'm going to take the 16, make that minutes, and I'm going to take the 0.8 minutes, and I'm going to multiply that by 60 seconds in 1 minute. That turns out to be 48 seconds. So that's my answer. Now we're going to do this the other way, where I change this into just degrees. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 32 minutes and convert them into seconds by doing 60 seconds in 1 minute. So we're going to do 32 divided by 60, and that turns out to be 0.533. I take that 0.533 and add the 5 minutes, so now I have 5.533 minutes, and 1 degree is 60 minutes. So I'm going to take the 5.533 and divide by 60, and I get 0.092. So my answer is 12 degrees, which stayed the same, 0.092, and that's how we convert back to degrees. When we talked about in class, anything that moved clockwise was negative, and anything that moved counterclockwise is positive. So if I ask for 6 rotations clockwise, what you're going to do is you're going to do 6 times. There's negative 360 degrees because there's 360 degrees in a circle. So 6 times negative 360 turns out to be negative 2,160 degrees. And if I want to do, 3.7 degrees counterclockwise, so I'll just write down counter, I'm going to do 3.7 times 360, and I get 1,332. And that was like example 2 from your notes. When we're doing something that's coterminal, that means someplace that's going to wind up in the same spot. So 250 degrees is right there, and whether I go counterclockwise or I go clockwise, go in the same direction. Counterclockwise, the brown is the clockwise, you wind up in the same place. The green is the clockwise, Either way, you're going 360 degrees. So to get something that's coterminal, I'm going to add 360 degrees, and that's 610 degrees. I can also go the other way, which is to subtract 360. So 250 minus 3 is negative 110 degrees. So all 3 of these all wind up at that 250 degree mark. If you have a negative number, so if I wanted all of them, I would just do 250 plus 360n, and n must be an integer. If I had a negative one, let's say I had negative 420, and I wanted to get a positive coterminal angle, I would add 360, which would get me to negative 60, but that's still negative, so I would have to add 360 again, which gives me 300. So here's my positive one. If I wanted a negative one, I could just use negative 60. Alright, the next problem basically says we need to find the coterminal angle that lies in between 0 and 360 and also say what quadrant it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 360, and that's 440. That's still not in between 0 and 360, so I got to subtract 360 again, which gives me 80 degrees. Since here's 0, 90, 180, 270, and 360, 80 is in between 0 and 90, so this is in quadrant number 1. Let's try this with a negative one. Let's say we have negative 25. Because it's negative, I'm going to add 360, which gives me 335. That is in between 0 and 360, and that's in between 270 and 360, so that comes down over here. Okay, last problem, the reference angle is always going to be in between 0 and 90. And it can be 0 or 90. It is the degrees from the x-axis. X. That's the key right there. So if I did 282 degrees, I know it's in the fourth quadrant. Now here's 0, here's 180, and here is 360. Because I'm at 282, I will need to know the distance between 272 and 360. And so I'm going to do 360 minus 272, and that gives me 88 degrees. And that's how we find the reference angle. One more. If I did negative 200, the first thing I would do is I would add 360 to get that coterminal angle in between 0 and 360. So really, this question is asking about 160. Well, here's 160, and here's 180. And so how far is it between 160 and 180? 20 degrees. And that's it. That's 5-1.